Hello, we are Mark and Maureen and I write mnmhittheroad.com. Mark has been RVing his entire life, going on his first camping trip at 6 weeks old. I joined the fun when we were 18 and we've been RVing ever since. We are avid eaters, like to cook, and cooking in our RV is no exception. Our hope today is to help you be a lot more comfortable cooking in yours. Let's talk about the micro-convection oven most RVs have now. We have a Sharp in ours. We use the microwave just like we would at home. We always use a microwave safe container and we do not use metal racks. For microwave use, you'll keep the ceramic tray in your microwave. Enter cooking time and press start. To adjust the power level, enter cooking time, press power level, then start. To clean, I like to microwave 1 cup of water with 1 cup of vinegar for 5 to 7 minutes, depending on how dirty it is. It will boil in steam. Carefully remove the water dish and wipe the inside to clean. Now the oven part. It's more like your oven at home than you think. The glass plate remains while using the oven. You may have 2 metal racks. I use the low rack most of the time. I use the high rack when broiling or cooking and need 2 racks. I keep the turntable on for round and square pans and turn it off for large pans. Glass, metal, silicone, and disposable foil pans are all okay. Any pan that is safe for your oven at home is safe for your micro-convection oven in your RV. Like your oven at home, you'll end up using some features more than others. We use convection with and without preheat the most. Without preheat, press the convection button. Press temperature. 6 equals 350 degrees. Enter cooking time, press start. Most of the time we preheat first. The big difference between our oven at home and this one is 1 extra step. When using the preheat function, press preheat, temperature, then start. Once the oven beeps that it's ready, put your item in the oven and press convection, temperature, and start. We figured out the sweet spot, pun intended, for cooking Pillsbury cinnamon rolls. That's our drive home treat. For perfect cinnamon rolls in our oven, we press convection, temperature at 375, and cooking time of 16 minutes. There's much more to the touchpad though. You can do a combination microwave plus convection cook, or a low or high mix with no preheat, or a low or high mix with preheat. I haven't found a need for these functions. Our Sharp manual says these can be helpful when cooking roasts, which Mark doesn't eat. These instructions are to help you if you're looking for a combination style cook. I just haven't seen the need for it yet. I've cooked things without issue. If you're interested in combination style cooking, email me and I will send you a scan of the manual. Are you ready to talk about some food? These honey butter sweet potatoes are pretty much a staple when we camp. I have to be careful and not plan this for every single trip, although that would suit me just fine. We usually have this with tri-tip that Mark cooks outside on the grill. You peel and dice the potatoes, about 1-inch size, and place in a 13 by 9 dish. When we boondock, I use a foil pan for easy cleanup. Pour the honey butter mixture over the potatoes and toss to coat. I use the low rack, place in the oven on the rack, and cook, stirring twice during baking. It doesn't get much easier than this pesto Parmesan chicken. Place chicken in a dish, spoon pesto sauce on top. I use the low rack in the oven, bake for 20 minutes, then add Parmesan cheese and bake for 5 to 10 minutes more depending on how thick the breasts are. If you're cooking a side dish that's at the same temperature, utilize the second rack, the tall rack, and bake the other dish right on top. This apple crisp is our favorite camping dessert. The hardest part is prepping the apples. Peel, core, and slice them and put them in your baking dish. Sprinkle a cinnamon sugar mixture on top if you'd like, although half the time I forget it. Use a fork to blend together the flour, sugar, and butter until crumbly and cover the apples. I use the low rack, and since it's a round pan, I leave the turntable on. Bake for 30 to 40 minutes until apples are soft. I like it just as it comes out of the oven, but vanilla ice cream and whipped cream are also popular at our campsite. The Instapot is all the rage right now. It's a versatile machine that can be used as a pressure cooker for fast cooking or a slow cooker when you have more time. Hopefully after today, you'll move from a scared novice to a comfortable rookie and beyond. The super hot, super moist, pressure-filled pot speeds cooking. Use plenty of liquid. Most recipes start with 1 cup. Any oven-safe dish that fits can be used in the Instapot. And as the saying goes, there's an app for that. I encourage you to download the free app. I have found lots of useful tips along with some great recipes. The control panel can be a little intimidating. The display will show on when you've set your cooking time, then start counting down once it's reached pressure. The timer will ding when it counts down to 0, and then it will count up as the pressure naturally releases. Press the manual button to start setting your cooking time, then use the plus arrow to select your cooking time. You can toggle back and forth from high to low pressure by pressing the pressure button. Use the saute button when you want to brown or sear meat before cooking. Press specialty buttons, like rice or soup, for those items. Each one has a default time set at the factory that you can change. Once changed, it will be the new default cook time the next time you use that function. One important thing to be mindful of: there is a fair amount of steam that comes out when you manually release pressure. At home, I make sure to use the pot on the island because I don't want the steam to blast the underside of my cabinets. When I use it while camping and the recipe calls for manual release, I use it outside on a camp table. Here are some helpful hints. NPR means natural release pressure, which is about 10 minutes. MPR means manual pressure release. Use a long-handled wooden spoon to push the sealer lever from sealed to vent. Be careful here as hot steam will burst out straight up. Use plenty of liquid. Pressure cooking is all about steam, so your food needs plenty of moisture to heat up. Food cooks by surface area rather than volume. Big foods like a roast or a large potato will cook slower than foods cut into small pieces. The steam and pressure must reach the inside of each piece of food, so if you want to speed up your cooking time even more, cut your food into smaller pieces. Think of cooking in your Instapot like a bell curve. The build-up side is when pressure builds. The top of the curve is the cooking time, and the rundown side is pressure release. Cooking time remains the same. It's the buildup of pressure that takes longer if you have more in the pot. Chicken breasts are a great example. If you're cooking breasts to shred later, cooking time is 12 minutes. If you have 3 breasts, it will come to pressure faster than 8, but the cook time remains the same. When timing your meals, this can take some practice. If you're doing a roast and typically sear it in a pan before cooking it in your crock pot, you can do the same here using the saute function. Start by pressing the saute button and sear your meat on all sides. Remove the meat, add water or whatever liquid your recipe calls for, and scrape the bits off the bottom of the pot with a wooden spoon or a spatula. This will prevent a burn notice. Add the meat back into the pot and continue with your recipe. Be sure to read through recipes before getting started. Some recipes call for extra supplies like a springform pan or a steamer insert, which you'll need to purchase separately. Set the pot to sealing rather than venting. Save venting for slow cooker recipes. Don't overfill. Keep in mind, heat and liquid can cause some foods to expand. Only fill your Instapot up to the fill line and leave plenty of room to accommodate for expanding foods like rice, beans, and quinoa. For slow cooker recipes, you'll want to keep the liquid to 1 to 2 cups, but no less than 1. I can't emphasize the don't overfill enough. We had this mishap in December. Our son, who is in grad school, was home and loves to cook. He was using the Instapot to make a bone broth as a base for a new gravy recipe. He overfilled it just a little. When he manually released pressure, we had fresh, new homemade bone broth everywhere. You can use a steaming insert for vegetables, fish, eggs, and quicker cooking foods. I love using the steamer basket in our Instapot. I mainly use it for vegetables, but it is also perfect when you hard-boil eggs. To use the basket, begin by pouring the required amount of water for your recipe. Insert the basket and then add what you're cooking and proceed with the recipe. When boiling eggs in the Instapot, add the eggs to the basket first, add 1 cup of water to the pot, then carefully add the basket to your Instapot. Hard-boil eggs in the basket at high pressure for 5 minutes, natural release for 5 minutes, then plunge into ice water for 5 minutes. The Instapot is also easy to clean. You can wipe down the outer pot with a damp sponge with vinegar, a little vinegar added. You can clean all parts of the inner pot and lid either in soapy water or in the dishwasher. You'll want to be careful and use an oven mitt when lifting the basket out of the Instapot because it will be hot. Let's talk about some Instapot food. This spinach and artichoke dip is a big favorite at our campsite. Start by pouring chicken broth into the pot. This is the barrier for the ingredients and will prevent the burn notice. I've never had it, but everywhere I look, people always say, beware the burn notice. Add the rest of the ingredients except the mozzarella and Parmesan cheese. Do not stir. Close the lid, make sure the vent is on sealing, press the manual button and adjust time for 7 minutes. While it cooks, break apart your bread loaf, arrange your crackers, have a drink, whatever you want to do. When the timer dings, use a long-handled spoon to quickly release pressure. Stir in the cheeses and serve warm. And any leftovers can be frozen. These Instapot green beans are Mark's new favorite vegetable, so I'm seizing the moment and making them as often as I can. We started out by laying them on the trivet that comes with the pot. I recently upgraded to a basket and it was a game changer. Start with 1 cup of water in the pot. Add the beans to the basket and add whatever you'd like. Seasonings, garlic, even some bacon, and top with butter. Close the lid, set the vent to sealing. Press manual button and use the plus button to add time depending on how firm you like your beans. When timer dings, use a long-handled spoon to quickly release pressure. You can lift the basket out and transfer to a serving bowl or use tongs to remove the beans from the basket and save a dish to wash. These Instapot ribs will become a weeknight favorite. As before, begin with pouring water into the pot. Generously rub the ribs with a dry rub, and more is better here. Stand ribs on the trivet, curling them around if you have a long rack. These in the picture were 1 rack that I'd cut to fit into a freezer bag. Close the lid, set to sealing. Set pressure for high and time to 20 minutes. That's it. Use a long-handled spoon for manual pressure release when your timer dings. Use tongs to remove the ribs and place flat on a baking sheet. Brush with your favorite barbecue sauce and either grill or broil for 4 to 5 minutes until the sauce is sticky. Now dessert. This peach dump cake uses an oven-safe dish that fits in the Instapot. I put the trivet in with the handles up to help make the dish come out easier. Cut peaches into big bite-sized pieces. Stir in cinnamon. Pour cake mix over peaches and dot with butter. Pour water in the pot, add the trivet and your baking dish. Lightly cover the dish with foil. This will prevent steam from dripping into the food, making your dessert soggy. Close the lid, set vent to ceiling, and cook time for 25 minutes. When the timer dings, allow a 5-minute natural release, then use a long-handled spoon and finish with a quick release. Carefully remove the baking dish using the trivet handles. Remove the foil and place the dish under a preheated broiler for 3 to 5 minutes. Watch carefully. I'm batting 500 on having it come out beautifully or burned. The complete recipes for the food we've talked about today can be found on our website. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have a new confidence in using both your micro-convection oven and your Instapot. Please share your cooking successes and ideas with us by tagging us in your Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter posts, and use the hashtag M&M Hit the Road. Have a great day!